Well, hello, America. I want to give my condolences to France. It's horrible what's happened there. And I hope the French people will look at this and wake up. They'll look at it and realize who did it to them and why they did it to them, and that they need to take action. Okay? And the powers that be want to bring this to America because they want martial law. Okay? How do you get martial law? You create chaos. How do you create chaos? You bring in the enemy. You bring in these jihadists and you bring them into your country, and they will never integrate. They have a completely different value system. And even if some of them wanted to, there's so much peer pressure, group pressure, that it's impossible. It is impossible. They will never integrate, they will never accept our society, and they will always believe and support and try to institute Sharia law. Sharia law is not freedom of religion that we have enjoyed in this country with our Constitution of the United States. Freedom of religion is a belief system that is in cooperation with the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, and all those things that are in there. The Sharia law is completely opposite. Okay, it does not protect the individual, it does not protect the individual rights of every human being. And it is a grossly exaggerated punishment system. Okay, women are considered chattel in Sharia law. They're not even second-rate citizens. They're not even real people according to Sharia law. And children also. And they can be disposed of however the husband feels like. I mean, there's all these gross punishments for simple things like a woman talking on a cell phone, or a woman driving a vehicle, a woman showing her face in public. Okay? And these type of laws just aren't going to make it here. It's going to create chaos. And this is what the powers that be, they want martial law. And just as an update to let you know, we have these jihadists, and I'm just going to call them jihadists. They're not Syrian refugees. They're not good Muslims. You know, if a Muslim believes truly in his belief system, okay, he's not going to be a good citizen of America. So in my mind, you got to lump them all together. And a Muslim who is a good person does not believe in Sharia law, so he doesn't really believe in his faith. So I don't know, where they're coming from when they talk that way. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Martial law is very, very, very close, and once it gets instituted, it's virtually impossible to reverse it because of the powers that be. The powers that be are, they're giving marching orders to these Muslim jihadists that have been strategically located throughout this country, in all these safe cities, this garbage. They have firearms, they have weapons cache and ammunition cache, and they're just waiting for the go-ahead. They've got the FEMA camps everywhere, all over this country, okay, just waiting to imprison the people. And my hope is that the military, National Guard, militias, law enforcement will say no. They're going to be under a lot of pressure. They're going to be under a lot of pressure to go along with this. And they need to rise to the occasion. And this is one of the purposes of this video, is to help them to understand what we're going to need. And I've made a lot of videos on this very subject. One is a legitimate monetary system. And what I mean by that is, right now the only legal tender is what they call the US dollar. And who controls the US dollar? The Federal Reserve banking system, the IRS. Now, if they jerk that monetary system out from underneath us, we're not going to have a medium of exchange of goods and services. I don't see, without that, I don't see us descending into chaos. However, it's really simple to solve. It's not hard. It really isn't hard. When gold and silver was the only legal tender, which the Constitution says no state shall allow any tender save it be gold and silver, we never had more than 3% inflation and 3% deflation. And those are just terms, that they throw around really. Inflation just means there's way too much money out there. In this case, we'll say either specie or fiat money, which is paper money. And that causes the price of goods and services to go up. Okay? When there's not enough currency out there, then what happens, the economy gets stifled in this respect. There are no new business starts. There are industry comes to a halt. Everybody knows, all economists know that you've got to have capital, money, to grease the skids of industry. Okay, if you want to have an economy with good growth and good production, you've got to grease the skids of industry with money. Loans need to be made. Okay, and it's a different type of loan than what they do, than what the Federal Reserve does today. That's nothing but a scam. So, if they jerk the dollar out from underneath us, this monetary system, what are we going to do? Well, interesting enough, I've been watching a few things. One was Bitcoin. There's some things to be desired there. But probably the most interesting of all, at least for the time being, is what California did. What California's been operating in the red for about as long as I can remember. Okay? How did they get past that? The state has issued IOUs. They're called state-issued IOUs. And they're treated just like legal tender. Okay? And I think initially that will be the direction that we'll have to go, because we don't have a whole lot of gold and silver circulating in the economy. The reason we want gold and silver to replace specie and fiat money, IOUs, is because whoever controls the printing press, okay, can create inflation, they can create deflation, and they can steal the production of the people by pushing that button and printing a bunch of money that they give to their little favorite constituency out there, okay? Or the little favorite projects, like big wars, or creating welfare for a select group of people. So that's one of the things that have to be really, really closely watched, is who controls the printing press. That's where your elected officials would come in, per the Constitution of the United States. Right now, it's been all subcontracted out by this private entity called the Federal Reserve. And they answer to nobody. They do whatever they damn well please. And they really need to go bye-bye. And of course, the law enforcement, or the enforcement arm of that, is the IRS. So, that's the number one thing we've got to be concerned about, is nothing more than a medium of exchange of goods and services. And I really see that as a fairly simple, a very, very simple problem. I don't see it that hard to actually resolve, okay? The second thing is, and it's real close to the first problem that needs to be solved, and the second problem is we need to increase production. You can have all the money in the world. You can have all kinds of money floating in the economy, and it can be worthless if there's nothing to buy. Does that make sense? If there's nothing to buy, then that money is worthless. And I don't care if it's gold and silver. Because first and foremost, you've got to have water, you've got to have food, and you've got to have shelter. Those are the three most important things. Okay? And all production comes from human beings, which we've got plenty of human beings that are willing to work, okay, and our natural resources. And really, that is the key to production. More than anything is our natural resources. Now you see why the powers that be, this administration and the UN and all these things like the Forestry Service, the Bureau of Land Management, are trying to get the ranchers off the property, the farmers off the property, off the land. I should say the ranchers off the range. Okay? Now you see why the EPA is trying to control all the water. Okay? They want to control production. Actually, what they want to do is limit it or shut it completely down. That is the plan. Because when you shut production down, the people don't have food to eat. They don't have water to drink. I mean, think about where your public water comes from. All right? Or is being trucked in through, with big bottles of water. Or small bottles of water. It's all trucked in for the most part in your bigger cities. See? They can literally control the distribution of water, the production and distribution of all food. Real easy. And so we got to watch that, and we got to increase production. We've got to get our natural resources back. The BLM, Bureau of Land Management, the EPA, the Department of Agriculture, the Forestry Service, all these things are stealing the land from the people in different ways. It's all about getting control over the production. So there is no production. So the next thing is, in the rest of them, there is no problem. We have a viable workforce. Our infrastructure is still here. It needs some work, but it's not that bad. Not compared to the rest of the world. What I mean by our infrastructure, our rail systems, our road systems, our highway systems, our communication systems, and even our banking system. All those things is what would be considered infrastructure. It's still the very best in the world. It needs some work, but it's still the best in the world. Okay? Last but not least is technology. Technology has been stifled by the powers that be. I always talk about Tesla and John D. Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan and how they destroyed Tesla and its free energy projects. That information we still have that information. If you try to bring it out, though, you will be stifled. In many cases, these inventors have been murdered for this. So I want the military, I want the National Guard, I want the militias, I want all the sheriffs and all local law enforcement to understand this. Our problems are not insurmountable, but we have these elites and the shadow government. And the shadow government, the Council of Foreign Relations, is the most dangerous thing there is to the American people right now. Okay, these are evil, wicked people, and they want the annihilation of America, its borders, its people, and probably the whole world. Because they always say that consumers, this cancer, is destroying their world. I've heard this more than once. So, law enforcement, as I said, military, National Guard, militia, sheriffs, please look at this. And people out there, share it, because this is, we are vulnerable. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to see how vulnerable we are if they jerk our monetary system out from underneath us. And we need to get the governors on board, we need to get the state legislatures on board, and be prepared to come up with a medium of exchange of goods and services. That's going to be the most important thing. Okay? The second thing, as I said before, is we've got to increase production. We've got to increase production for the people so that they can actually survive. So they'll have water to drink and food to eat. Okay? And the next thing is, in order to have production, we need to have access to our natural resources. So anybody who's controlling those natural resources and depriving the people of these natural resources is the enemy. Understand that. They are the enemy. They might be compartmentalized on a need-to-know basis and not even realizing what they're doing, but they're going to need to be educated really fast. Okay. I think I covered pretty much all of that. Again, as far as France, God bless France. What happened there today is just going to continue to happen, and it's going to spread throughout the world if we don't get a control over this. And I'm going to tell you what, people, a vote for Hillary Clinton is a vote for the jihadists. Okay? She's just going to be doing more of Obama because she wants martial law I mean, stop and think about it. She has narrowly escaped being imprisoned. Narrowly. It took Bill Clinton to go on the tarmac into Loretta Lynch's plane to bribe her to keep Hillary out of jail. Okay? And when these elites see that they're being cornered, they will do whatever it takes to save their butts. Okay? They have a scorched earth policy. Make no mistake about it. They don't care. They'll do anything and everything they can to save their butts. Even to the point of the destruction and the mass genocide of every human being on this earth. They will do that. Okay? It's going to be balls to the walls with these people. They're not going to stop. They're not going to slow down. They don't have sympathy. They don't have empathy. They don't have love for anybody except for themselves. They are strictly narcissists. Okay? They're wicked, wicked, evil, evil people. I mean, I'm looking at, and that brings up a whole nother subject I'll get into another time, is these federal judges and the things that they're pulling. Again, I want to say we have patriots that are in prison that have been treated as though they're guilty. They haven't been found guilty of anything yet, so they have been guilty until proven innocent. That is ass backwards. That's just like asset forfeiture. That's just like the Child Protection Services coming to your door with law enforcement to support them, okay, taking your children without due process. Anytime you don't have due process, we have chaos, okay, and it will descend in anarchy eventually because there's always going to be blowback. You want to piss people off, steal their children from them, okay? And so, you know, we got to have due process. We got to have due process for our patriots. They need to be given bail. Okay, if you're denied bail, that's in the Constitution, 8th Amendment, it's called cruel and unusual punishment. They have been denied bail. That is cruel and unusual punishment. Okay, and these sins are coming back on everybody because nobody's doing anything about this, and this can get real bad real fast. Thank you.